The concept of rivalry is woven into the entire history of humankind. If you're religious, then you would believe in the story of Cain and Abel as historical fact. Cain, jealous of the resources his brother provides, performs the first ever murder on Earth as an act of ruthless revenge for his perceived slights. Or you might think of the battles between titans of history, Nikola Tesla and Thomas Edison, alternating current versus direct current, as they each fought each other for their own preferred form of electric power. Or maybe you think on a larger scale, countries battling it out on the world stage in the mad dash to be the first to space, and then the moon soon after. But if you were to ask children in the late 2000s and early 2010s what the most important rivalry of all time was, they would be very quick to tell you. Do you like these funny little plastic ball men, or these evil little spitting discs of kinetic fury? You decide. Now, while I was but a wee lad in late elementary and early middle school, I went to a Lutheran private school, and for a while, our school became a battleground between children who wanted to spin metal tops and those who wanted to roll little plastic marble monstrosities. This came to a stop when Beyblades became a banned item due to the horrific property damage they caused when dumbass children who did not know any better launched them not into a stadium, but the nice gym floor. As such, while I had a couple Beyblades, I didn't get to use them super often. On the off chance I was able to visit a friend who had a stadium, I would do a little blading, don't get me wrong. I had a buddy who really liked the show, so I'd watch it with him, but that was about it. I had become a Bakugan kid, not by choice, but by force, and so it stayed for the rest of my youth. Fast forward about a decade to early 2021. I'm 20, I'm moved out, and me and a friend from high school somehow got to the topic of nostalgic kids' toys, and one of us mentioned Beyblade, and we were both pretty surprised to find it was still going relatively strong. There was a new generation that had started around 2016, not just new toys, but a new show as well, so we did what any well-adjusted adults would do, and we watched a children's cartoon and took it way too seriously. Now listen, I am not here to tell you that the Beyblade Burst anime is in fact high art. I'm here to tell you that this is peak fiction. These children, of which there are only boys, mind you, no girls allowed in the Beyblade treehouse, battle it the fuck out in search of battle top supremacy. There's nothing quite like watching one of these children's shows as an adult. You know, the one that follow the classic formula. Insert game / toy line here has become the single most important sporting event in history and dominates the world to the point of dictating the structure of entire societies. It leads to very interesting questions like, why does this sport consist of only children ages 10 to 13 when getting to follow someone's career over the course of years is demonstrably more interesting for a long-term audience? Does the property value of your house significantly rise if you install a Bay Stadium in the backyard? Did Spain have to raise taxes to construct the perfect replica of the actual Colosseum of Rome for its Beyblade team? Did this kid have to get permission from his parents before becoming a supervillain in the secret overseas jungle Beyblade child prison? Is the metaphysical real? And if so, does the god in heaven above use a defense type? Now, I am getting ahead of myself, but while it does start pretty grounded, believe me when I say, Burst gets to Metal Saga levels of insane pretty fucking quick. And if you have a buddy with you watching it, boy is it fun. And here's the thing. Somewhere along the line, as you and your buddy are watching and laughing at this show for babies, you start to notice the actual nuggets of good shit that's in there. Stuff like the characters dealing with Kensuke moving away. Somebody moving away in a show for children is basically as close as you get to character death in a show like this, at least until he comes back for nationals. Dinah being driven to cheating, but still being treated in a sympathetic light. This show understands that it's usually not unskilled people that cheat, but skilled people cheat to get a result they feel they are owed. This guy right here, Marie de la Hoya, is the best part of this fucking show. After a bunch of episodes about how you should just enjoy what you do, win or lose, just have fun, man. It's all about having a good time, just relax. Free comes in to remind you, hey, it's fun to win. And all that talk about having fun even when you lose is kind of fake and cringe. And that's fine. Being upset when you lose doesn't make you any less passionate. Now, to be clear, this is not like a great show or even really a good one. All I'm saying is that if we put this on a 10 scale for how good it is, when you're an adult, it goes from around a 2 to like a 4.5 pretty quick. And yeah, it does go completely off the rails at some point. I'd say it gets incomprehensible right around the time that the leader of the Beyblade child prison convinces this 12-year-old Shu Kurenai to lock himself into the Mewtwo chamber to forge a Beyblade out of the energy in his soul after battling his rivals in an elaborate dream sequence, after which he gets possessed by it. He gets possessed by his Beyblade. That's like Tiger Woods getting possessed by his fucking 973 wood. And then in the next season, Beyblade Sephiroth shows up to kill all the other Beyblades and feed them to his Beyblade. And then his brother shows up and he has a giant Castlevania castle and he goes... And then his Beyblade gets eaten by the other Sephiroth to make a Dragon Ball Fusion Beyblade, and it's just too much peak. But here's the thing, none of what I have told you matters at all. This show could be the best thing on planet Earth or the newest slop on the anime pile. The only thing that matters is if it was cool enough to convince you, hypothetical 9-year-old, to beg your parents convincingly enough to bring you to Target and get that Speedstorm Stadium set. And it did work on me, I totally did that.
I am in heaven. Look at him. It's so cool!
But here's the thing, the Beyblade Burst toys are kind of shit. See, this is where we need to get into who actually makes this thing. The true source of Beyblade, the people who are in charge of its continued creation and stewardship through the modern era, are a Japanese company named Takara Tomy. But they obviously don't deal with the whole thing worldwide, so for distributing Beyblades in the West, the duty falls to Hasbro. And historically, the Hasbro line of Beyblades is, it's bad. Like significantly worse than their overseas counterparts. So depending on if you have a Takara Tomy Bay or a Hasbro Bay, you are getting a vastly different experience. Now, if you're a part of Beyblade's target demographic, you know, people actually aged appropriately to be wanting these, this doesn't matter to you. Look, the tops spin fast and hit each other. You don't give a shit. You're living the dream. But if you're me, somebody old enough that you really shouldn't be here, this has a startling effect where you use your Speedstorm set 5 or 6 times, it sits in the corner of your room for 6 months, and then you get rid of it. And even the show, right around here-ish, just kind of stops being entertaining. Me and my buddy watched like 3 episodes of Rise. It just gets lame really fast. The new protagonist isn't as immediately charming as Aiga is, and the episodes get cut down to half length. There's only so much you can do in 10 minutes, and so that was that. But what were we to do? Where could we get our Beyblade fix? Was it over? Was my brief spark of joy to be left in the dust? Oh, my friend, not at all. The first season of the 4th generation of Beyblade, Beyblade X, started airing in October of 2023. You can tell it's Beyblade X because of all the X's everywhere. I'm serious, everybody is a fucking X. This guy is Common X. He makes an X with his arms. Zero Go has like 50 X's on him. The building is a big X. Right from the start, we are pulling out all the stops. X starts off a lot more grounded than a lot of the previous generation. This Zigzagoon-looking kid, Kazumi Bird, is your classic big fish in a small pond, up until he hits the big time, but instantly he's caps down into the depths of Copper 5 by this guy, Ishiyama. He is a professional blader. He's the establishment. And when the powers of a mere hobbyist are shown to be nothing in the face of a person who has been on the Beyblade grind for 10 years, does he show mercy? No! He destroys this child's property. Everything else in the show is all about providing Bird the opportunity to prove he belongs here. He is demonstrably standing on the shoulders of giants, and that weighs on him. My man is constantly on the grind. He is training day in and day out to finally score a dub, and wait, it's been 50 episodes and he still hasn't won a battle yet. Like not even one? Okay, so maybe this show isn't that great either in the grand scheme of things, but on the Beyblade scale, it's punching above its weight class for sure. Even more so than Burst, there's a weird amount of actually decent character writing here, especially when it comes to some of the secondary characters. Meiko, losing her career because of an injury. Ishiyama, dealing with the conflict between a profit motive for his sponsors and playing the sport the way he knows he should. Carlo, being an acknowledgement that sometimes all the training and skill in the world is nothing in the face of talent. Sometimes you just aren't good enough and need to pivot. That's actually good, and it shows Beyblade is trying to take steps towards being a genuine sports narrative. But also, this is still Beyblade. You know things need to get absurd pretty quick, and you would be right. There's another Sephiroth in this one, also with a Phoenix-themed Beyblade, and he wants Beyblade to be fast, so he uses the battle data of every other relevant character to create Bay Time Shift, which is... I don't know what it is. It means his Beyblade goes very fast, I think? But then later, this lady can literally stop time and predict the future with her Beyblade, so fuck Sephiroth, I guess. And then she drops the single biggest lore drop of all time. Every single Beyblade show has been within the same continuity this whole time, which means that Moses parting the Red Sea with his Beyblade is still canon to Beyblade X. This is still crucial lore. Don't you forget this. And then despite the fact that every Beyblade show is now canon in a linear fashion, I guess everybody just forgot that left spin bays exist, because when crazy evil McGreen Man pulls out Cobalt Dragoon, everyone loses their fucking minds about it. And the opening was made by that one band that made that super angsty song for Sonic, but then Zero Go shows up and says, "What's up, everybody?" So actually, you know what? Move the show up the scale. Just put it like right there. But calm down, champ. Calm down, sport. Settle down. What did I say earlier? The only thing that matters is whether or not this show can get you to buy toys. And how cool are those toys? Well, it turns out they're fucking sweet. They've taken all the previous gimmicks and combined them into one generation. The X system obviously takes its core conceit from Plastic Gen, but the bays all have this metal layer as the main component in their construction, just like Metal Fight, and retain the burst mechanic from Gen 3 with a new ratchet mechanism to replace the shitty springs that wore out on the old burst stuff, and on top of that, you have the Extreme Line with an X. But what does that last bit actually mean? Well, as you have now seen via sweet montage, it means these things go really fucking fast. I mean scary fast. So fast they might just break on contact. I don't mean burst, I mean shatter. Just give out completely. Absolutely demolished. Which others might call a safety hazard, but I call badass. Seriously, don't grab these after you launch them. It will not be fun. But why is it so surprising they're breaking? Aren't these the cheap Hasbro ones? Those ones I just spent a while like shitting on earlier? Not so, my friend. For Gen 4, the Hasbro and Tomy bays are identical, and boy, you can tell. The build quality on these things is satisfying. They're just fun to fidget with. There's no obnoxious rattle, everything locks into place with these resounding clicks and clinks, and because these are the Hasbro bays, they're just so much more accessible when trying to import Tomy stuff during Burst. You can go to Target right now and get the full pants-shittingly, finger-bone-shatteringly cool experience for the low price of 8 big ones a pop. But you know, why should you, presumably an adult, go out and buy some of these toys for children? Sure, it might be cool for a couple rounds, but want to just get old launching some tops and letting God decide who wins? Well, that's where you're wrong, because you are a thinking being with your own free will, and you can have a large impact on the outcomes of your matches based on your customization options. In X, every Beyblade is made up of 3 parts: the blade, the ratchet, and the bit. Bits and ratchets are made up of repeatable parts with different variations, with each ratchet being named after its height and number of protrusions, and each bit simply getting its own name. The blade is the part that lends your bay its entire identity. It's the part that's entirely unique, so when you go to Walmart and pop open your shiny new Keel Shark, you can see that it comes on a ratchet that has 3 protrusions at a 60mm height, and a low flat bit called low flat. So this stock configuration is appropriately called Keel Shark 360LF. And while you could run it like that, you could also swap out all of its other parts for real, tangible changes in its performance. So if you wanted to run Phoenix, you could keep it on gear flat like it comes to go hyper aggressive, or maybe you want to play a little bit more reserved, a little bit closer to the chest with Phoenix for some reason. So you could run him with Orb and confuse everyone in the room with the world's worst stamina type. So let's say you did want to play more defensive, throw all that out, get rid of Phoenix, throw him in the garbage, get rid of him. Instead, take out Thanos. Yes, this is real. And stick that bitch on Ball. Now, he's a mean, lean defense machine, and you can pat yourself on the back for playing some good, honest Beyblade. Well, you still lose, because defense types all suck ass right now. And to be clear, I am not playing up how much this matters. I am not joking when I say that Beyblade X, of all things, honestly has a more stable competitive scene and meta than fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! Beyblade X has a ban list. It's called the Limited Part System, and it was implemented because Wizard Rod on 960 Ball might as well have been the fucking anti-spiral with how goated it was. Listen, I'll keep myself from going on much longer, but this right here, this feels like a resurgence of an IP that was beloved for so many people in their childhoods. As much fun as I had with my buddy watching Burst, I understand why, as the audience grew older, Burst didn't capture a new generation the way that Jinka and Pegasus did all those years ago. But X really seems to be turning that around. I look online and I see people excited about the possibilities of the 4th gen. As I'm writing this, the first season of the anime is wrapping up, and we just got the first left-spinning Beyblade of the generation, Cobalt Dragoon. Things are looking good. And if anything here spoke to you at all, if any part of your inner child saw those spinning wheels of malice slam into each other and thought, hey, that's pretty fucking rad, actually, I implore you to go grab a starter set, try some out with a friend, because there's something so special about something from the past coming back in such a big way with such resounding success. So don't let it pass you by. Give it a shot. Let yourself have some fun. But holy shit, let's maybe leave the child imprisonment camps behind and Burst, alright? Okay, thank you, bye-bye, see you next time, adios.
After I capture your planet, guess what, I'm having a ball. Captivate your universe, now it orbits my beck and call. Cross the galaxy's edge, it won't stop till I've seen it all. But an oracle told me, pride cometh before the fall. But if I stall, start bouncing off the wall, so I don't care. No, I take more than the lion's share, and it's not fair. Ladies love the lazy alien, look but don't stare. Fuck the edge of your seat, my fans pop out of the chairs. I cause a little...